Some Easter eggs are elusive, and it takes a very long time to find them. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on gameranx, 10 more Easter eggs that took years to discover. Starting off at number 10, it's the cordyceps ant from The Last of Us. It's an Easter egg that went undiscovered for more than 7 years. Detailed by a Last of Us speedrunner by Anthony Calabrese, you have to follow a series of convoluted steps to make this Easter egg trigger. Basically, during the prologue where you play as Sarah, you go down the stairs and at the bottom is a checkpoint. To actually see the secret, you have to then quit to the main menu and load your game, then go back up the stairs to Joel's bedroom to see a screenshot of an actual cordyceps infected ant right there on the TV. It's nothing particularly huge, but I'm pretty sure this image was used in some pre-release stuff to explain what the deal with the zombies was in this game, but still, it's something that took more than 7 years to find, so it's definitely noteworthy. I mean, seriously, having to turn the game off and reload a save to trigger an Easter egg? I've never actually heard of a game hiding a secret that way, so it's not a wonder why nobody ever found it. At number 9 is Trainhead from Fallout 3, one of probably the most famous story things on this list, but if you don't remember seeing anything about it a few years back, buckle up because it's ridiculous. During the Broken Steel DLC to Fallout 3, you can ride a train car into the presidential metro. About 6 years after release, some players messed around with Fallout 3's editor called Gek and discovered some amusing facts about how the train actually works. Basically, it is not a train at all, it is a hat that an NPC wears. So when the train moves down the track, it's really just an NPC running super fast underneath the world. There's more, the train car isn't actually equipped as a hat, but rather as a piece of armor called DLC-03 Metro Car Armor, which wearing it actually makes the NPC's hand disappear, just to make this whole thing more goofy looking somehow. You might have heard about this one already, but it's always worth mentioning because it is just hilariously weird. At number 8, there's a secret cutscene in Red Dead Redemption 2. It is actually just a game that keeps giving regarding secrets. It normally doesn't let you do a lot of things differently during its many missions though. If you stray too far from your objective or do things too differently, you'll just fail. But sometimes, and this is very rarely, but different things can play out. That's where some of the secret cutscenes come into play. During Chapter 3, there's a mission called Magicians for Sport, which normally you're meant to confront these two bounty hunters and get into a fist fight with them. If instead you just shoot one before approaching, it'll trigger a unique cutscene where Arthur shoots at the feet of the surviving hunter. In most situations, doing something like this would get you a game over, so the fact it actually works is pretty surprising. This sort of thing can happen in other missions too, like the one where you help your ex-wife get her brother out of a weirdo cult. Normally you have to talk to them, but if you just shoot one, then you'll get a surprise cutscene where the cultists all commit suicide by jumping off a nearby cliff. And there's probably more stuff hidden in this game, who really knows? Red Dead Redemption 2 is a game that snuck in a vampire and a robot pretty much just for fun, so anything really goes. At number 7 is skipping to the final ending in Nier Automata. Here's another secret that would have never been found without the wonders of data mining. The game's only been out for 3 years, but players still had one secret to find. It took a guy named Lance McDonald screwing around the game files, but he finally did find it, a code that lets you skip directly to the final ending of the game. Remember, Nier Automata is a game with so many different endings that in order to see the final one, you have to beat the game a minimum of 3 times, so this code can save you a lot of time, especially if you choose a certain option during that ending. As usual with these sorts of secrets, unlocking them is very specific. First, you have to defeat the first boss in the prologue, look around the arena after 9S leaves, and find a bunch of barrels. For whatever reason, you have to stand between these 2 sets of barrels and then put in a code. If you do it right, you'll be immediately teleported to the end of the game. It's a secret that didn't take quite as long as some others, but considering how much secret hunters have poured over this game, the fact it remained hidden as long as it did was impressive. At number 6 is the Seal Breakout from Splinter Cell Double Agent. Here's one that was so hard to find that the developers had to just come out and explain exactly how to get it. It took 4 years before the developers just got fed up and spilled the beans on how this amusingly weird secret works. It also doesn't help that it's kind of an obscure title. It's not the Xbox 360 PS3 version of Splinter Cell Double Agent, it is the Xbox version. So in the co-op campaign during the prison mission, you can complete a series of secret objectives that let you talk talk to the seals hidden around the prison for some reason. It's actually kind of bizarre. You'll be doing a lot of locker shooting and fetch quests, and the whole thing is kind of shockingly long because there is apparently a large number of things you have to do to appease these seals. And what do you really get for doing all this running around? Nothing. Not anything in particular anyway, so I guess big surprise there. At number 5 is the Shin Akuma cheat code in Street Fighter Alpha 2, which took players about 25 years to uncover. Shin Akuma, like regular Akuma before him, was a secret arcade mode boss that was never meant to be played because he's just totally overpowered. Everyone had a friend who would always play as the OP boss characters in a fighting game in versus mode, and that guy would be all over this thing. This was discovered by a modder named Gizaha, and unlocking him for real is a total pain. You have to get the highest score in the game, input the initials KAJ, and then when the game goes back to the title screen, you have to hold down L, X, and Y, as well as start on the second controller. Then you have to access versus mode on the first controller. To get Shin Akuma, you have to now select the regular Akuma while holding down the start button. He's also pretty buggy to play as, which suggests the code was never meant for regular players to find. It was probably in the game for testing purposes, and that would explain why the code to unlock him is so awkward to pull off. At number 4 in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, there is a secret Metroid. 4 years after the game originally came out, a gamer by the name of Shane Marchus found this, a Metroid from the, Metroid series, hidden in the background of a level in Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Players had been looking for this Metroid reference for years, as Retro had been teasing it, but actually finding the thing proved pretty difficult for a pretty specific reason. To actually see this guy, you have to play the level Abyss, get to a certain section of the stage, and then backtrack through a large chunk of it. At one point, you even have to take unavoidable damage, but if you keep going, you'll eventually reach this spot where this little guy floats by. Why is it in the game? Because Retro Studios, the developers of Tropical Freeze, previously worked on the Metroid Prime series. It's always nice to see the Metroid franchise get some love, even in little secrets like this. At number 3 is a Banang Easter egg in Tales of the Borderlands. That takes a little explanation. It took 5 years until after this game came out for this to be discovered, at least according to Telltale Games videos. This is a reference to one of Telltale's earliest successes, the Sam & Max series, which contained a drink named, Banang. Banang! And for whatever reason, Banang keeps popping up, and yeah, it shows up here in Tales from the Borderlands. You can find this secret in Chapter 3 of Episode 5, in the part where you're in the destroyed ruins of the Helios station, and you have to break some glass to continue. Just go through the area until you have the option to break the glass, but then don't do it. Instead, turn around and head back to the start of the area. If you look at the corner, you can scan the area and find the can of Banang. Trying to grab it only leads to it getting buried in the rubble for some reason, but yeah, there's your Sam & Max / Borderlands connection. 2 franchises nobody expected to cross over, but the madmen at Telltale did it anyway. At number 2 is a secret boss kill in The Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, something that took players 13 years to find, the secret method to kill the first boss in Wind Waker. Kale Demos, the boss of the Forbidden Woods, isn't normally all that difficult, so players didn't really need to find an easier way to kill him, but for whatever reason, the developers put it in there anyways. In the game, you can collect forest water to earn yourself a heart piece, but if you instead hold on to the water for the boss, you can pour it on them and kill them instantly. Nobody seems to have a clear answer for why this works, but it does. The developers aren't talking either. Nintendo has always been notoriously tight-lipped about secrets like this, and yeah, no one has come out and said exactly why pouring magic water on the plant boss kills them. Maybe it's like holy water or something, I don't really know. It's a weird thing, and it's also weird that it wasn't discovered for as long as it was. And finally, at number 1, it's secret initials in Donkey Kong. This is a very early Easter egg, and maybe one of the longest an Easter egg has gone without being discovered. This thing wasn't found until the sole developer of the game just told people about it more than 25 years later. Actually, what happened was that the developer mentioned how to get it, but had forgotten how it actually worked. It took a guy named Don Hodges to dig through the game code before finding the actual steps to finding these initials. See, Donkey Kong for Atari computers was programmed programmed by one dude. His name was Landon Dyer. He snuck his initials into the game, but you can only see them after doing some very arcane steps. Remember, there were not any developer credits way back when this game was made, so hiding your name somewhere was pretty much the only way to get your name in a game you created. The requirements to see these initials are pretty nuts. You have to get a high score of either 37,000, 73,000, or 77,000, then lose all your lives and get a game over with a falling death. Now, back on the title, you have to set the difficulty to 4 and wait for the demo to play. Now, you can see the developer's initials, LMD, on screen. For something so simple, it was really well hidden. Maybe he really didn't want that traced back to him, but also really wanted to say, hey, I did this thing. And that's all for today, folks. What do you think? Leave us a comment, let us know. And if you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week, and the best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription. So click subscribe, don't forget to enable all notifications, and as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at Falcon the Hero, and we'll see you next time right here on gameranx.